We've all had to adjust our lifestyles to cope with COVID-19. We've never been in this position before, and we're having to work so much harder at home to look after ourselves. At this time, we've had to maintain rules around social distancing and, in some circumstances, self-isolation. Now, this might be the first time you've noticed yourself feeling isolated, or the current circumstances might be intensifying feelings associated with isolation. Now, having said that, we're going to be exploring how you can help yourself stay well and stay connected during this time, with a few key tips of how to manage your well-being at home during lockdown. Here at the Mental Health and Wellbeing Service, we recently conducted a survey with our clients to find out how this pandemic is affecting you. We found that around half of people who responded have been separated from loved ones or have had to self-isolate during this time. Understandably, this is very difficult. As humans, we are social beings, so being asked to stay inside and isolate is difficult enough, let alone having a global pandemic to contend with. Now, this lack of interaction we might be having all of a sudden can really feel quite conflicting and confusing for us, and as a result, it's understandable that it might take a toll on our sense of well-being. But be assured that whilst you may be feeling physically isolated right now, you're definitely not alone in your feelings. If we look at the research, there are a number of ways that being physically isolated can affect our mental well-being. These include feelings of anxiety, low mood, anger, sleep difficulties, irritability, boredom, and a low self-esteem. Importantly, one of the key findings from the majority of research is that isolation can cause feelings of loneliness, which can then intensify some of the feelings I've already mentioned. Now, loneliness can affect everyone very differently, so what I would like you to do quickly before we move on is just pause this video and write down or have a little think about what the word loneliness means to you. We are here to help you manage some of this emotional weight that you might be carrying. So with that said, together, let's now look at the key things that you can do to help yourself feel connected and feel well at home during lockdown. Whilst we are in lockdown, it can be hard to feel connected with others and even ourselves from time to time. Keep in mind that just because we're physically isolated does not mean we're cut off from others altogether. Anxiety UK suggests that if you feel like you're beginning to struggle, take some time to connect with a family member or a friend, and if you don't have anyone you feel able to talk to, you can call a support line like nationally the Samaritans or Sane Line. What's also worth considering is adapting any routines that you may have had with loved ones. So, for example, if you'd go to meet a friend for a coffee every Tuesday at 12 p.m, you could keep this time and just change it to a video call or a telephone catch-up. It's also important to keep connected with ourselves, our thoughts and our feelings. One way to do this and manage some of those feelings I mentioned earlier on in the video is by keeping a mood diary. This is a useful way to bring awareness to any common themes that may be intensifying unhelpful thoughts that you might be having. Diarising thoughts can also help you to understand the impact of the thought, as well as just allowing you to better understand the thought itself, in turn developing more control over that thought and the emotional impact that it brings. Really, the idea is that you're becoming aware of the thoughts that you might be having, and you feel better able to then manage those in a helpful way that works for you. You can find a template of a mood diary in the support pack that comes with this tutorial. Keep in mind, when doing this exercise, you are being kind to yourself. There's so much going on in the world around us at the moment that it's understandable that emotions and thoughts will be heightened at this time. And having said that, at any time during the exercise, if you do feel like it's becoming overwhelming, or you notice that your thoughts are becoming a bit more intense, please do reach out to a family member, a friend, or just a trusted person or a professional for some more support during this time. We're hearing firsthand from our clients that it can be tricky to keep optimistic during this time. It might be that you can't go out and socialise with friends, your working routine has changed, or just that you haven't been able to have visits from loved ones. Research shows that having a sense of purpose can really benefit our overall health, including our mental well-being, our level of resilience, and our overall life satisfaction. So, how can you maintain a sense of purpose during this pandemic? It might be that you want to start a new hobby. It could be gardening, baking, or even something like doing a jigsaw, something that really allows for a sense of achievement. Or it could be something as simple as making sure you wake up at the same time every day to really maintain that sense of routine. As practitioners, we talk a lot about kindness in relation to mental health. And it could be that your sense of purpose might come from reaching out to others during this time to maintain a sense of connection. A message or a phone call can really make a big difference to other people who might also be struggling with their mental health at this time. Having said that, it's also important that you're being kind to yourself. If you're having a low day, that's okay. For these days, it could be that actually your sense of purpose is coming from getting out of bed to brush your teeth or opening the curtains. Now, keep in mind that your purpose doesn't necessarily mean you have to change what you're doing already. You're already doing so much to make sure you're staying well at home during this time. Now, what I'd like you to do quickly is just pause this video and have a little think about something that really gives you a sense of purpose. We can all at points, and especially during this time, ruminate on the past or worry about the future. And what this does is it stops us from appreciating what is going on right here and right now. Rather than becoming stressed about tomorrow or thinking about what we could have done differently yesterday, mindfulness works by helping us to value the present moment. And in turn, this helps us to feel more positive, enjoying what is in front of us right now. By learning to focus your attention this way, you can also build a stronger self-awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, and your experiences. Now, at the moment, it can feel like we're in a bit of an unknown territory, and this can make us feel a bit out of sorts. Focusing on one day at a time, taking it really slowly, practicing mindfulness, and really connecting with ourselves can help us feel better equipped to manage these circumstances. It can boost our mental well-being and our emotional resilience, and importantly, it can reduce feelings of loneliness and feelings of isolation. Now, one really great mindfulness exercise that's relatively easy to practice is called the 5 senses exercise. Now, the idea of this is really just to bring you back to a calm, present and mindful state. You can find an example of the 5 senses mindfulness exercise in the support pack attached to this tutorial. Through this video, we've spoken about some ways that you can look after your well-being during this lockdown. We've spoken about how to stay connected, both with other people and with ourselves. We've spoken about the importance of finding a sense of purpose during this time. And finally, we've spoken about why it's so important to be mindful. Now, one concept that's kind of threaded throughout this whole video is the idea of kindness. And just a little bit of kindness towards other people and towards ourselves can really go a long way. Now, my last bit of advice for you is to choose one of the tips we've talked through and give it a go over the next week or so. Again, don't rush to try it all in one day. Take your time and work at a pace that feels right for you. We'd also love to hear from you and how you found these tips. You can reach us on Twitter. Our handle is @BromleyWell, and perhaps send us a tweet with your favourite tip and #HelpAtHome to get involved. Thank you.